So I'm out on the Kawasaki today, taking her for a quick ride. It's a slightly warm day here where I live, and it's looking nice out. So I'm really just out trying to test the microphone to see how it works. This is the Eliminator 450. So this is the Ninja 400 frame and motor on a more cruisery slash cafe feel bike. Not really what it is. I've liked this bike so far. I don't have a lot of miles on it. If I was commuting, I would absolutely be on this bike a lot. It's super light. It's got plenty of power to cruise around the city. It's a lot of fun to ride. I think where it lacks, though, for me is the highway. It feels underpowered for the highway. So that's kind of what's going on with this bike. I feel really big on it as well. I'm 6 foot tall, close to 190 pounds. And as you can see from my knees rise up to the sides of the tank. So I'm not real, I feel too big for it, I guess. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm 6 feet tall, knees rise up by the sides of the tank. After about an hour or two on the bike, I start to feel fairly cramped. My hips start to hurt. I'm old, so that has a part to play in that. We're going to be getting on the highway here in a little bit, and I'll show you where it just kind of lacks. Like I said, if I was commuting over to the tech center or downtown or anywhere nearby, this would actually be a great daily driver. If you're new to bikes, it's also a really good bike. It's lightweight. It's very tame. It has, this is the SE ABS version, so I've got anti-lock brakes on it. Like I said, it's based on the Ninja 450 platform. It's based on that platform, so it has some power. They've lengthened the stroke on it. So the overall displacement is 451 now. So it's got some power. We're getting on the highway here. So you'll see the challenge I have with it. And I think for most riders it's probably okay, but if you're looking for a weekend toy, which is what this was supposed to be for me, you know, just going up to the mountains and cruising around town and just getting out and playing, it's not really good for that. You really got to open it up to get any speed on it. So I'm doing about 70 now, 6,500 RPM. It's really light, so it does get blown around a bit. That's not a big deal. But if you were looking to have a bike for around town, that kind of thing, like I said, great bike. I have my Honda Goldwing, which is a different style of bike completely, but it has some pretty good power to it. So now I'm doing about 80, don't tell anybody, 6,500 RPM, 6 gear. So if you're looking for a bike that can do that kind of action, I think you'd be fine. I think if you were looking for a weekend toy, this may not be your ride, and for me it's just too damn small. I tend to go for longer rides, thus the Goldwing. So when I'm out on my bike, I want to be able to go for, you know, I typically do oh, 2 hours, 3 hours when I go out. I've got a couple of circuits I like to run. Up to the beautiful mountains there. You can see the scenery today. It's just freaking beautiful today. Just love it here. I'm curious about the sound on this microphone. I, as usual, forgot to put headphones in. Fortunately, this bike is just not very loud. So I'm not gonna go deaf from this bike. If I was on my son's Honda Shadow, it'd be a different story. He got some Vance Hines on there. I think the baffles have been removed. He stores it at my house, but it's a pretty loud bike. It's kind of fun to ride too. This bike is the Kawasaki Eliminator 450 SE ABS. So it's actually a pretty cool little bike. Very lightweight. It's pretty good for around the city. The things I don't like about it, it feels somewhat underpowered. But it's not actually, you know, I'm clearly able to keep up on highway speeds. So if you recognize where I'm at, you know I've got to get back in this lane. Well, I'm going to be taking a right up here, that's why. So just cut out for my little ride here. This bike will move, but I feel very awkward on it. My legs are longer. I'm 6 feet tall. Got a 32-inch inseam. About 190 pounds. So I'm not too heavy for the bike, I don't think. I mean, it still has pep. Trying a couple of things today. Curious about the sound. I'm hitting, 70 miles an hour while I'm talking. There's a lot of helmet noise. I've got a little microphone that is stuck to the side of my helmet. It's like a boom mic. It goes up where my Cardo microphone does. I wish Cardo didn't use their stupid little custom microphone. I'd put a splitter on it and go into the camera from there. So I had to get a secondary mic. I can record with the Cardo, but I've tried that. Didn't like it. It has a very aggressive wind cleanup on it. So you really don't hear anything on the noise on the bike, which, it's part of the visceral experience of riding a bike, I suppose. Now we've got a ways to go here, so we're going to want to get out of this lane. normally don't ride highways during the week. I tend to do that on the weekends when there's a lot less traffic. I'm also normally a very early morning rider, so I tend to get out of town before there's any traffic. Works out really well for my wife and I on our Gold Wing as we go for longer cruises. We really don't have much traffic because we usually get out of town by 6. Then we'll ride for 6 or 8 hours, up to 10 I suppose, to get somewhere. But usually we're out of town before traffic gets heavy. So I've been trying a lot of different bikes, see what I like for alternatives. I'm always torn. I have the Gold Wing, which is a monster touring bike. It's the luxury vehicle for motorcycles. So I've been trying out a couple other bikes. I looked at the Indian Scout Bobber. The Indian Scout, obviously a very different class of motorcycle from this, or a sport type bike. It's I've got the same problem I have with this bike. My legs are too long. I don't know who they built these bikes for. I'm 6 feet tall, 32-inch inseam. That inseam is pretty average, I would think. You know, the average height for a male in the US is 5'10". I don't know what the average inseam is, but the other problem, of course, not of course, you have no idea. The other problem I have is that I have a size 14 foot, which is really big when it comes to motorcycles. So when I'm trying to get to shifters, or brakes, I'm always having to shift feet. I've never really had a bike that fits well. I always slide my foot forward and back, which makes it slow to upshift, downshift, and also makes it slow to brake on the rear. So that's, you know, a little bit problematic. He's got a lot of space in front of him. There he goes. I assume every town's got something like this. That could be a faulty assumption, but I assume every town's got, you know, places like this. They tend to grow organically. I spent a lot of time overseas earlier in my life, and I think the biggest problem is that we just have really crappy public transit here compared to Europe. I mean, in Europe, you really, where I was in Germany, and you really did not need a car in Germany. I was in sort of a podunk town, about 60 kilometers outside of Frankfurt. What is that, like 26 miles in freedom units? I have no idea. But you could get anywhere on a train and a bus. And they ran with a startling regularity. I think that's the biggest problem here, is you're always transferring. I think we're too spread out. That's part of the problem, but you're always transferring here and getting on another bus, and it just never really works out. So you can see here you got three highways merging into one. So this is a pretty entertaining little section of road too. I'm gonna try to accelerate out of here before somebody tries to get over on me. It's just one of those places where there's no good way to do anything. Funny story, my dad was worked for a company that did road engineering. He was an engineer, mechanical engineer. And he worked for a company that did road engineering, and he re-engineered a local road because they realized it was going to have too much traffic. And so they forecasted out about 8 years on the traffic load and said, okay, let's look at designing this road and building it. He was working for a county here. So they got it all designed to handle that traffic load, and they had to make some cost cuts, of course. And so he's working on this road, or getting it designed. They didn't build that road for 20 freaking years. So literally by the time they designed it, it was obsolete. It was undersized. So you can go drive on it today and realize it's just not big enough for the traffic load. Much like this road, this is 6th Avenue. It's a highway in this part of town. And 6 lanes, it's all it can ever be. And it handles the load right now, but if you were here on a busier weekday, you would find yourself somewhat displeased. Sorry. So some of you, if you're in my area, probably already know where I'm going. You live in the Denver area and you like to change your motorcycles like you change your drawers, you need to know about this place if you don't already. It's called Motorado, and what they do is they sell bikes on consignment. They charge pretty much a flat fee. They have 100 bikes, 150 bikes in here, and they do pretty good deals on the bikes. So we'll see what they are going to offer me for this bike. I'm going to trade this bike in today. I'm going to sell it. I've been looking at all kinds of different bikes here lately. So we are here. We just got to go check stuff out.